Welcome back to another episode of CRE, The Unspoken Truth. I'm Charlie Coppola, joined by my father, Craig, our CEO at CRE One Source, longtime broker and top producing broker in the history of Lee & Associates. Today, our topic is setting the trajectory of your career. So obviously something you and I have talked about a lot. Just as I've started my career, I'm now, 6-7 years into it. Glad to have you, but I'll dive right in. First question I have is, when you were starting your career, were there things you thought about, in terms of setting the trajectory, or is this something you've thought about later in your career?
Well, no, I actually thought I was pretty focused. As you know, I'm a pretty focused guy, but I was certainly focused on, the first thing that I was focused on is actually having a career. So many people today enter the workforce without any idea of what a career entails. And so maybe we should define real quick what a career is. The career is, hey, what am I going to do for the next 40 years of my life? And when I wake up at 60, I'm 62 now. When I wake up at 60, I want to look back and say that was something that I wanted. So the first thing that I think everybody who's listening to this that has any idea about what they're trying to do has to say, what is the career that I want to do? What do I want to look back and see? And they'll say, well, I don't know what I want to do. Well, that's okay. You still want to have some goals for that career. You want to do things that add value to the humanity. You want to make some money. You want to have some time, whatever it is that you want to do. So I would say I thought about it distinctly when I got out of college, what I wanted in my career. And I think I've told you this. One of the things that I learned, I don't think I've told this story publicly, but when I got drafted out of college, I played professional baseball for the Minnesota Twins, and they had a guy who was running the minor leagues. His name was George Brophy, and they had a saying: when George Brophy came to town, he never left alone, which meant he would always release somebody while he, wherever he was traveling. And I was playing in the Appalachian League at the time. I didn't get released during the season. I got released afterwards, but they were releasing people during the season, and I looked at that and I said, I don't want a career where somebody else could release me again. And so one of the reasons I got into commercial real estate brokerage is I wanted to be 100% commission salesperson, because nobody releases a guy who's making a bunch of money. And that's one of the things that I thought about, George Brophy. And here I am, some 40 years later, still talking about George Brophy. So it made that much of an impact on me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said, setting the trajectories of your career starts with deciding you want to have a career and then deciding what that career looks like. And you and I have talked about this some, and I'm going to lay out kind of how I've thought about it. And I'm sure I'm missing something, but you can add to it. Think about the industry you want to be in. And a lot of this comes with experimentation and trying, like internships, talking to people who are in that industry, shadowing, and even just working a year or two in an entry-level job. But industry, what is your day-to-day? In real estate brokerage, you're talking to clients, right? Is that something you want to do, or do you want to be, behind your screen? Do you want to be in an office environment? Do you want to be out in the field? Money, that's a big factor for a lot of people. So do you want to make a lot of money? Do you want to make a steady salary? And then location is another one. Can you do it remote? That's a big one, in the last 5 years. Or, are there opportunities in the city that you live in? What else would you add to that?
Well, I would probably take a step back and say, there's so many options out there. Of course, you want to look at industry, but I would say, what do I want to be doing? What am I really good at? So I look at what are my unique abilities, as Dan Sullivan says, a strategic coach. What are my unique abilities? And unique ability is something that you're excellent at and you love doing. So it's something that you're really good. People tell you you're good at it, and you're really good at it. So and you love doing it. And so I'm trying to put people into positions that they're in their unique ability 75% or more of their time. And sometimes it takes 5 or 10 years to get there. But if you're working towards that, you can do it. I need this skill set. I'm not necessarily good at it. For example, in our business, you have to cold call. I don't necessarily love cold calling. I'm still cold calling, but it's a path to meeting people. And those are the things I do enjoy. So I would say, what is my unique ability? That's number one. Number two is, chicken or egg, and you called it out there, chicken or egg. Do I move to the town that I want to live in the rest of my career, or do I want to have my career and it takes me around the country? Prior to the previous generation, my parents' generation, the corporate guys were moved around all the time. Today, I think it's pretty much the opposite, where you say, I want to live in Phoenix, Arizona, or Scottsdale, Arizona, and this is where I'm going to land my career. So you do have this idea of, is your career going to take you all over, or is it going to be there? So unique ability, location, and then what am I doing on a daily basis that really motivates me?
Yep.
So those are 3 things that I would say.
Yeah, and I would think the first one, the unique ability, probably informs what am I doing on a daily basis, right? Is this stuff I want to be doing every day? My first job out of school, I spent a lot of time in Microsoft Excel. I was an analyst at a big bank and I liked it. I knew long term that's not what I wanted to do for 40 years, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, right? So
yeah, and you don't know. I mean, when you're coming out of school in your first 5 or 6 years, you're not sure what your unique ability is. You're not sitting around thinking about it. If somebody doesn't point this out to you, a lot of people just don't even know. They wake up at 35 or 40 and go, I don't even know what my unique ability is. It's like, okay, well, let's step back and say, what is unique ability? There are things that people say to you that you've done all your life. Well, you're really good at that. You're a planner. You plan all the trips for the family, whatever. That you must really enjoy that. Those are things that you're really good at, and you love doing them. And if you could get that concept in your mind, then you can spend the rest of your entire life, forget career, do the rest of your entire life chasing your unique ability. I am dismayed, however. I was reading in the Wall Street Journal this morning, something like 67% of all Gen Z want to be influencers. And so that's not, that might be a career for 1 or 2 people, and God bless them to do that, but that is going to go away. And so that is not necessarily like, if you want to do it, I understand you want to go for it, but for most people, that's not it. So we have to make sure that we're looking at things that are career paths for most people.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people my age think about, I just want to find my passion. And we've talked about this. I think finding your passion comes from working and experimenting, and to an extent, actually creating the passion. And I'll share one story or one example. Sam, our lead salesperson at CRE OneSource, he loves soccer. He's from England, grew up playing soccer, played in college. He loves soccer. He still plays in men's leagues, multiple leagues, each week. And he has told me, if I can't be a soccer coach in my career, the very next thing I want to do is do a startup software company. And I laugh because I'm like, well, about a year and a half ago, you were still in school. You didn't even know what startup software companies were like, but he's generated a passion for it and he's worked hard at it, gotten better. And now he likes it. He's good at it. And it's become something he wants to do more.
I don't think there are a few things that like it's like testing foods. You may think you might not like something, but until you taste it, you don't know. And the same thing with work. It is one of the things I think that we are not doing a service for the young people coming out of college today. They automatically discount certain things. I don't want to be a caller. I don't cold caller. I don't think I want to be out in the open. I want to work remotely. I have a person who works for me, and her best friend's been remote for 3 years. And she has blatantly told me that her best friend's personalities changed dramatically because she has worked from home for the last 3 years. And she never wants to work from home because she's seen what it's done to her friend. And I think that's so true today. One of the, you think you want this lifestyle where you're working from home, and you wake up 10 years later and you're like, I don't have friends. I'm sitting here at my house all the time. I'm chasing social media. That's not a path to go down. So I believe that we learn, and when we learn, then we understand if we like it or not. We might have a knack for it that we never even thought we could do.
Yep. Well, I definitely believe in try it all, and learn, like you said, learn what you like, learn what you love doing, learn what you're good at, and just slowly but surely figure out what that long-term kind of career is going to be.
I'll give you one long-term story. I got in this business, commercial real estate brokerage, and I know it's a relationship business. From day one, this is what my path was, building relationships. But I woke up 15 years later, having negotiated 2,000 leases, and I realized I'm really good at negotiating. It wasn't like lots of people want to be negotiators. That was the negotiators. That wasn't something that I was chasing, but I'm really good at it now. So, people come to me all the time now, not even inside real estate. They come to me for buying cars or negotiating. Sam, we were talking about Sam a minute ago. He was negotiating to do this bachelor party, and he, we worked back and forth, and he negotiated this super cool thing for the bachelor party to go play at this facility that wasn't even open. And it was just a matter of just like, hey, here's what you do, here's what you do. And I just have this naturally now after doing it for so many years that I have it, and I love it. I actually love it because I have this skill set that I never even knew that I was developing, and it came to me because I had done it for a long period of time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in terms of setting, we started with, you have to kind of define what your career looks like. You have to try different things to figure out what your unique ability is, what your passion is. And that comes from doing. How does this play into like the trajectory of your career, right? So early on you're experimenting, but then, okay, now I'm on a path, then what?
So there is this amazing thing that happens in life. And if you have a graph, and your trajectory is like this, and you literally tilt it 1 degree at the beginning of your career, if you tilt it 1 to 2 degrees, if you read The Fantastic Life Revisited, I have a rule, the 2% rule, right? Do everything you do, just the 2% more. If you can tilt your trajectory in the first 5 years, if you could save a little bit more money, if you get a better skill, if you could get an advanced degree or some designations, if you could tilt your direct trajectory just a tiny bit, over time, that trajectory becomes this massive chasm between you and your competitors and the people that you are doing the same thing with. And so what I say is, when you get going, go all out, man. The first 5 to 10 years of career, and we talk about this setup, right? Before you're 35 years old, it's all set up. That's the trajectory that you're setting up. And if you can wake up and go, I know a lot of my peers are still partying like they're fraternity brothers. I know that a lot of my people are not really focused on their career because they want to do a bunch of other stuff before they have kids. I took the opposite. Mine was like, I am going to come in running 60 miles an hour right away, right on the treadmill, and I'm going to tilt my trajectory. And so I think that is something that's really set me apart. And I'm looking back on it right now, and I have created a chasm between myself and my competitors because of what I started doing 40 years ago when I started in the business.
And I've totally embraced that as much as possible. And
Yeah.
I think in my mind, there's two major benefits that you get from, the 2% rule. One is when your life inevitably gets busy, hard, stressful, kids is a perfect example. I have 2 older siblings who have, babies, right? They're stressed, they're busy. If you've pushed yourself earlier, you'll be able to handle a normal workload, or you'll be able to handle that stress a little bit easier, right? It's not saying it's going to be easy, but you're at least comfortable with, the aggressive hours and the harder, more stress. And I think the second major benefit you get from it is you get better faster. You get more reps, you get more experience. And I always say, I don't want to wait until I'm 40 to be good at this. I want to be good at this next year. And
Right.
The way I do that is I'm going to try to get 10 years of experience in 1 year. And that's just by accelerating, the growth, doing more reps, pushing myself a little harder.
So let's talk about 2 things there, what you said. The first thing is this idea of getting the reps. One of the things that people aren't doing anymore is they're not getting actual reps. They're watching a YouTube video that they can learn and say, oh, I know how to do that. That is not a rep. We want reps. And so getting as many reps as you can as early as you can. One of the reasons you came over to work for me in CRE OneSource and work and be a founder with us is you wanted reps in areas that you were going to get. And boy, have you gotten those reps, right? That's what we want. If you have a doubt, get additional reps. And then number 2, I want to talk a little bit about OneSource and what it does for young brokers in our business, because we've now closed a whole bunch of young brokers that are on this trajectory. And what it's doing for them is it's giving them insights to their business and how they can improve it. And so this is a little bit of sales pitch here, but the sales pitch is we provide data on their business that allows them to look at their previous pipeline, of maybe a small pipeline. We just signed a guy who did 7 deals last year. He's got 7 deals in his pipeline right now, and he signed up for DealView. And the reason he signed up is because he wants to get better. There's a section on one of our dashboards is how many deals did you add this month? So it's like, I want you to add 1 deal a month for the next 12 months. That will double your business that you have today. I want you to look at this every single month and do it. That's one thing. Number 2, I want you to look at where you got your business from, because we track source of business. And I want you to look at the source of your business, and I want you to double your key source of business. So if it's an influencer that you got 2 or 3 year deals for, I want you to double that next year, because you're naturally doing that. And then I want you to pick one other thing of source and say, I want to make sure I get 1 deal from this. And it starts allowing these young brokers to get on a trajectory that they couldn't have. And that is one of the best things that we've found about our DealView. When I sit down with my young brokers, I can literally slice and dice the data and talk to them about where they're getting their business from, where they should be getting it from, what it's going to look like 5 years from today. And they can see a path that they could never see before without DealView. So it's kind of cool.
Yep. Well, I always think, I use the word aggression, and I think of it as like, I'm going to be out there flying around, accelerating this learning curve, putting myself in a position to feel uncomfortable, to feel like, my feet are on the fire, and I'm just like, I've got to make decisions. I got to move faster, knowing that uncomfort or discomfort is where growth will come. And if I can continue to put myself in those positions, I'll just continue to grow. And I always think, you say you and your competitors, and maybe it's easier for your career, your business, brokerage, right? You sit next to your competitors and you do deals with them. For me, I always think about me today versus me, like the fork in the road. Had I taken the other path, and that's where I think about Charlie over here versus Charlie over here today.
Well, one of the things, and this is a formula, another formula I got from Dan: fear, uncertainty, and doubt all equal, if all equal growth. And so if you don't have any fear in your life, or you don't have any uncertainty in your life, you don't have any doubt in your life, then you're not growing. And we have so many people in this world, they take this massive risk. They get out of college, they take this risk to go be a commission salesperson, and then over the next 5 to 10 years, they turn into just a business, a lifestyle business. There's no growth in their world. There's no fear. There's no doubt. And I think that's a tragedy. Some of the people that aren't buying DealView don't want to buy it because they don't want to see the numbers. They don't want to see that they're getting business and they've just turned their little business into, like, they make some decent money and that's it, when they could be growing tremendously. And so one of the things, I think one of my successes, I've always had a lot of fear and a lot of doubt and a lot of uncertainty, because I've been trying to grow for the last 40 years.
So yeah, that was where I wanted to go with this, is talk about, okay, we've set the trajectory, and I will do a little plug for a book. It's called The Defining Decade. It's about your 20s and how it basically is this topic, right? If you experiment, try all these different things, put yourself out there in your 20s, you can really set yourself up for a nice career and a nice life. And it touches a few different areas of life, but
Meg Joy. Yep.
Yeah, it's a great book. And I'm curious, beyond your 20s, okay, now we've set the trajectory, we've pushed ourselves for 5-10 years. Now we're into the middle of our career, or for you, your 60s. And I know that I'll give you credit, you just doubled down again, 2 years ago, starting CRE OneSource. Total fear, total uncertainty, total doubt, huge risk, financial, personal. And so I know you continue to make those decisions to put yourself in those positions. But I'm curious, how does it change or not change in the middle and end of your career?
Well, I think you have to learn, and people say this all the time, but it's true. You have to learn to be uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And so learning to be uncomfortable is something that you have to kind of think about all the time. And so when we had the opportunity to start this, sure, a lot of uncomfort. You and I both have never done a SaaS software company. And so we have been stumbling around. We stumbled around for a year. And now in the last 6 months, it's been really, really fun. But we still are learning tremendously every day. And there's a lot of discomfort. And as we try to figure out, is this something that's going to make it? And the first year was a very tough year. So I would say, look, always putting yourself in a position where you're not comfortable. Always put yourself in a position where you're growing. And if you find yourself talking about your high school days and you find yourself talking about those good old days in college, you're not in a very uncomfortable position. When you're uncomfortable, you're looking forward. There's no rear view mirror in my life yet, and I haven't found it. Don't want it. I want to look forward. I want to keep growing, and we're growing in all areas of our life, not just our business. We're grandparents now, so we're growing as grandparents. We're growing in a new business area. We're growing in our own commercial real estate side of the business, where I'm training Andrew and Greg and Nick Whitehouse to be my partners as I wind down my career. And all of those is all learning experience. I've never done this before. So how do I create a legacy team has been something I've been thinking about for the last 22 years since Andrew became my partner, and I've been working on it. So I think it makes life super exciting.
Yeah. And I have one more little story. We hired an intern out of GCU maybe 2 weeks ago, and his first day, I'm thinking about the position he's in. He doesn't know commercial real estate. He doesn't know anything about our product. He doesn't know anything about who we're talking to, our customers or calling or any of that. And we throw it all at him on the first day. And I said, and he doesn't know any of the software we use, the CRM, any of that. And so we throw it all at him the first day. And, I'm talking to him at the end of the first day, and he's like, this was a lot. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to learn as fast as I can, but I'm overwhelmed right now. And I told him, I said, don't ever lose that feeling. I want you to continue to feel that feeling every day, every month, every year, every position you ever take in your career. If you have that exact same feeling you're feeling right now, you're gonna set the trajectory pretty aggressively for yourself.
I think that's a great analogy. I'm glad you said that to him. I didn't know you talked to him that way. The idea is, look, we can get great. And I think what's really crazy, and you asked this earlier, let me answer it again. You said, what happens in your middle part of your career? The interesting part is I started doing bigger and bigger transactions, more meaningful transactions. I'm doing a pretty big transaction right now. It'll be the biggest deal done on our team this year. And those start getting fear, uncertainty, doubt, because now you got a big time commitment to a large transaction. And so there is always ways to continue to grow. There's always ways to put yourself in a situation where you have some fear, some uncertainty, and some doubt. And I think we should take advantage of those. And we say this all the time. I live my life hard, so my life will be easy. And if you do hard things, then your life gets a lot easier. If you do easy things, then your life gets really hard because you're not growing, you're not changing. And I think a lot of the anxiety that's coming out right now for young people is caused because they're not going out there and doing stuff. They're sitting around reading and going on reading about anxiety, and they're on social media, and I think that slows them down instead of doing stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people will read articles and listen to podcasts about cold calling, about generating new business, about whatever it is, and then write it off without trying it. But, I would say, and I know other people on our team would feel this way for sure, Sam and others, facing that fear, uncertainty, doubt, and overcoming it is a superpower. It just builds more and more confidence that you can do it over and over again. And I'd say that's one of the skills that I've learned and just try to continue to grow at. But continue to just overcome uncertainty and anxieties and all that.
Well, I love this. It's a Brian Kite quote. It says, discipline. It says, it doesn't get easier, you get better. And discipline is not something you have, it's something you do every day. And so I myself have been reading that quote every day. It's like, it's not something I have, it's something that I do. And the better you get, the more you push yourself. It's just like running up a hill. You can run up that hill 20 times. It's no easier on the 20th time than it was the first, because you're going faster and you're pushing yourself. And so going up the hill, doing it over and over and over, making sure that you're getting better, that's the key.
Yep. Well, this has been great. So we started by, I asked the question, what does it mean to set the trajectory of your career? And you stopped and said, well, first you have to commit to having a career, defining what a career is to you. And that's, starts with your unique abilities, right? What you're great at and what other people tell you you're great at, and something you also love doing. So a little different than passion. And I think there's a bunch of different ways to look at this, but we kept coming back to facing your fears, uncertainty, doubt, anxiety, and overcoming those. Those are ways to set the trajectory. Also getting more reps, right? So getting more reps early helps you grow faster.
And I think we would be remiss if we didn't use one other word in this podcast: commitment. If you don't have a commitment, and the commitment isn't, we have guys come in and go like, I've committed for 30 days. I'm like, that's not a commitment. I knew I burned the bridges when I got in the commercial real estate brokerage business. So this is going to be it. And I burned the bridges, didn't have a plan B, and didn't have any money, didn't have any savings, didn't have anything. And I'm like, okay, I have to go out and make money right away. And so that commitment, and the commitment I continue to have today to my team and to our company at Lee & Associates, and to everybody on it, everybody that works with me, is something that is super powerful, because no one works harder when you burn the bridges. You got a commitment, a real commitment.
Yep. Commitment. Setting the trajectory of your career. Another great episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you.